Will you join me in the salute to the flag, please? Ready? Begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Will you call the roll, please, Ms.
Yes.
Morgan?
Chair Machin,
Here.
Vice Chair Ebley,
Here.
Commissioner Durr,
Here.
Commissioner Earp, Commissioner Jones,
Present.
Commissioner Liang, Commissioner Lopez, Commissioner Quill, Commissioner Earp, Commissioner Liang, and Commissioner Quill are excused. We have quorum.
And will you administer the oaths, please?
Those wishing to speak, please stand and raise your right hand. Do you solemnly affirm that the testimony you are about to give before this body will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? If so, please say I do. Thank you. You may be seated.
Consent items are considered routine in nature and may be enacted in one motion. All public and non-public hearings will be opened at one time. Any item may be discussed separately upon request of a member of the Planning Commission or member of the public. Does staff have any updates?
Yes, thank you, Chair. We actually have two items for the consent calendar. The first item are one item we'd like to move actually to consent. The first item is the minutes of the December 12th, 2017 Planning Commission meeting, and staff is recommending approval. We would like to move item 4, the extension of time for development permit 17-04. This would allow the subdivision of 14.43 acres into 40 separate parcels for the construction of 38 single-family homes. The parcel is located at the northwest intersection of Ohio Avenue and Magnolia Avenue. And staff is recommending approval of both of those items.
Is there anyone wishing to speak on any of the consent calendar items? If not, may I entertain a motion to approve the consent calendar? Anyone wishing to speak? I'll entertain a motion.
Motion to approve. Second.
I have a motion and a second. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say no. Motion carries. The Planning Commission will first hear a report from staff, and then the public hearing will be opened. The applicant will have an opportunity to speak. Next, members of the public will be allowed to speak. Anyone in the audience wishing to speak must be sworn in and also fill out a request to speak form. The forms are located on the table near the door. When your name is called, come forward and speak into the microphone. Say and spell your name and give your address for the taped record. After all have spoken, the applicant will be allowed to respond. The public hearing will then be closed, and the Planning Commission will begin deliberations and make a decision. All actions except general plan amendments and amendments to the Municipal Development Code are final action unless an appeal is filed and a fee paid within 15 days to the Community Development Department. If you challenge the resultant action of the Planning Commission in court, you may be limited to raising only those issues you or someone else raised at the public hearing described in this agenda or in written correspondence delivered to the Community Development Department at or prior to the public hearing. The first item on the agenda then is, or rather the second, would be the conditional use permit number 16-19. Maybe have the staff report, please.
Yes, thank you, Chair. As mentioned, item 2 this evening is conditional use permit 1619. This is a request to construct a service station with a convenience store, approximately 3,500 square feet, with a Type 20 ABC off-sale beer and wine license. Drive-through car wash, approximately 1,800 square feet, and then with 6 pump islands and a fuel canopy, approximately 4,600 square feet. This is on a site about 3/4 of an acre located at 3154 West Kendall in the CG1 and Transit District overlay. This is an aerial of the property. This is located just kind of to the southeast of the intersection of Palm and Kendall Drive. The zoning of the property, it is zoned commercial, as I mentioned, also located in the transit overlay with the end-of-line station on Kendall just across the street. As I also mentioned, they are requesting a Type 20 ABC license for off-sale beer and wine. The track it's located in currently does allow for 5 off-sale licenses, and there is only 1 active license in that census tract, so no PCN finding is required for this project. And the police department has reviewed the site and reviewed the proposed development and is supporting the project with the appropriate conditions as were included in the resolution. The existing site here is just looking kind of northwest of from Kendall Drive, looking out at the property. And this is looking from just west of there, closer to the intersection, kind of northeast across the project site. This is actually the second phase of a kind of small commercial center that is in the process of being developed on Kendall and Palm. The previous portion, which was 2 drive-through uses, was approved approximately 2 years ago. That is actually going through the building permitting process at this time. This would be the second phase of it that would connect through that center and be part of the larger project overall. As you can see, access just 1 driveway from Kendall and then shared access through the commercial center, so it would be able to share access through several points off Kendall Drive. The floor plan for the store, fairly typical of your convenience store, does have the car wash in the back, so there is a drive-through lane that runs around the back side of the building. And then the conceptual elevations for the project, I will make one note. At this time, this is just conceptual of which brand that the site may have. There's still some final procedure or final work going on as to which operator it would be on the site for both the store and the fueling service. And the recommendation this evening is to approve Resolution 2018-003, adopting the categorical exemption for infill development and approving conditional use permit 1619 based on the findings of fact and the conditions of approval as provided. I will say, do also have the applicant and his architect here this evening, so if there are any questions, I'm more than welcome to answer anything.
Any questions from the commission? I have Tom Stino and Paul Peterson.
That's, as mentioned, the applicant and his architect. So they're not looking to make any presentation,
Okay.
but they are here if there are any questions from the commissioners.
Yeah.
I have just 2 questions. What time will the business stop selling alcohol?
Let me go to the conditions that were provided from the police department. The recommended conditions from the police department through their review do acknowledge that the store itself would be open 24 hours a day, as is fairly typical of this type of use. And they did recommend just the limitation on the restrictions of alcohol sales just between 6 a.m. and 2 a.m. And no restriction on days of week.
And according to the city's requirement, then the applicant will need to require that his staff that is selling alcohol go through training.
That is correct. The
That's
RBS
included.
training condition that you're referring to is also included in the conditions from the police department, I believe, on page 10 of the resolution.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
I have a question. Could you bring up
Yes.
the elevation view of the building?
Yes.
Yes. That, the building on the right.
It's actually all one building. I know it's
Oh,
kind of
okay.
a little hard to see sometimes on the black and white drawings.
I'm intrigued with the angle of the walls. I'm wondering what goes on inside that space.
You want? Perhaps we do happen to have the architect here. I think he could provide a little insight. You can actually step just over to the other podium.
Good evening. My name's Tom Stino. I'm the architect for the project. The area you see on the right is actually an office upstairs for Mr. Peterson. That'll be his office up there. So what we're doing is we're doing a couple little design details on the front of the building, and it wraps around the side. That'll be a corrugated type of painted metal. So it comes up on each side of the building and creates that facade right there.
Okay, so you don't really have leaning walls?
No, no,
Okay.
it's a facade on the front of the building.
All right. That solves my problem.
All right. We're excited to have the project here. It's going to complete bookend what we've already started. We're under construction now, so stay tuned. It's a great project. We're excited to bring it to you.
Good. Well, tell us a little bit more about what is going to go on inside the overall building.
It's about 3,800 square feet of convenience store. We have 21 doors, cooler doors of multiple drinks. Everybody today wants their own door. Every beer, every water, every sport drink wants their own type of their door now. We have a large service area in the front. We're capitalizing on the Route 66 location right there, so it'll be a lot of Americana inside. I'm having a mural done right now that'll wrap the 3 sides of the store, about 4 foot tall. That'll kind of be themed after the song Route 66. So when you go into there, you'll see you'll kind of read along this entire mural that shows images of America, Americana, old cars and states, and it'll be a fun place to go into. Mm-hmm. So we'll have offer food. It's not an actual restaurant per se or a separate QSR, but there'll be food inside, and we put multi-user restrooms in there also. You know, concerned about vandalism on a single-user restroom, we put multi-users in there. So it's more safe to do something like that. But it's a nice layout for the store.
Could you also bring up the site plan showing the
Yes.
parking area? Mm-hmm. Yeah. What's to the left of your building there?
In the center of the site is a Dairy Queen that's currently under construction right now. And then to the extreme left of that is the Starbucks. So both of them will have drive-throughs, a lot of outdoor dining area on both facilities, and in ours we'll have the car wash to the rear.
Nice. Yeah.
I wasn't able to look at the packages online, but is there anything for the traffic as far as ingress and egress? I know that turned really well. People are still kind of coming hot, they're going westbound on Kendall there.
We did put, there's 3 separate drives, one real closer to the corner, and then the one on the north end, if you will, of the C-store itself. So there's a turn lane. We're widening that road a whole new lane, actually.
Okay. So you're widening, Kendall's getting wide?
It's widening.
Yes. Okay,
So
cool.
there'll be a deceleration lane on that side right there. And then there'll be a turn lane in the center.
I will add as well to that, as part of the review on the traffic study for this project, because there was studies done both for the original portion and this phase. You know, as Tom mentioned, there is the decel lane that was put in. The street does get widened in front of the project, and then I think what you're referring to is kind of coming westerly on Kendall, where it kind of curves up a little bit. Yeah. To help address that issue, the driveway for the gas station site was pushed all the way to the far end of that site, so there is more visibility coming in along the curve.
Thank you.
Well, I think you have a very nice project here, and it's going to be a real asset to the city, I think.
It truly will.
So,
We're very excited
yeah.
about it. All right.
So-
Thanks so much. We look
All
forward
right.
for your support.
Well, thank you. If there are no more comments or questions, I'll entertain a motion.
Okay. I'd like to make a motion adopting resolution number 2018-003, adopting the categorical exemption including conditional use 16-9, based on the findings of fact and subject to the recommended conditions of approval.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say no. The motion carries. Thank you. Item number 3, permit type P 16-07. May we have the staff report, please?
Yes. Item number 3 is for development permit type P 16-07. This is a mixed-use project comprised of a coffee shop containing approximately 1,013 square feet and a residential unit containing approximately 1,215 square feet. The property is located at 1360 North E Street and is located within the Commercial General CG1 zone and Transit District overlay. If you'll recall, previously, last year, May, I believe it was, the Planning Commission reviewed this project, and initially we had brought it forward with a variance for the Transit District requirements for the Build-To line. At that time, Planning Commission continued the item to give the applicant the opportunity to redesign, which they've done so, and they have shrunk the building size a bit and brought the building forward so it now meets all of the Transit District overlay requirements. And I will continue to show you the progress that they have made. So again, just recapping, they're in the CG1 zone. This is also within the Transit District overlay. They are also across the street from one of the veterans projects that was just approved. So that'll be a nice area for the veterans to gather for a little coffee clutch. This is the new layout. So now you can see that the building has been pushed forward, and we've got the trash enclosure at the back, some landscaping, parking. And the floor plan may be a little bit difficult to see, but the bottom floor here is the coffee shop. So you've got the nice open area for seating, kitchen, garage for the residents, which is upstairs. And then these are our elevations. So it's a little bit of a slim building, but it should work for the site. And then a landscape plan. This is the existing conditions. So there's, right on the corner is not the project site. This is an existing neighboring site. Their site is just to the south of this building, right about there, which you can see here a little more clearly. And this is the north-facing view. The recommendation tonight is that the Planning Commission adopt resolution number 2018-001, adopting the categorical exemption pursuant to section 15332 for infill development projects, approving development permit type B 16-07 based on the findings of fact and subject to the conditions of approval.
Thank you. Any comments, questions? Anyone? We have one speaker, Mr. Gil Mendoza. Would you like to come forward, please?
Gil is the architect on the project.
I'm only here to answer questions if there are any. I am the civil engineer.
You did the redesigning of the building then to meet the TOD?
Yes, we did. We pushed the building against the lot line. Previously, it was recessed into the site, and we relocated the trash enclosure to be behind the building, not visible from the street anymore.
Well, thank you for doing that.
You're welcome.
I appreciate it.
How much of a reduction was in the current state that's being presented for us, to us right now, compared to the one that was originally submitted?
I'm sorry, I didn't catch the first part of your question.
How much of a reduction in size is this this site compared to the one that was originally submitted?
Well, the building originally was The size was, I think we lost about 12, presently it's 1,013 square feet for the coffee shop.
I believe both the coffee shop and the residential unit have both lost approximately 200 square feet each.
That's correct.
Yeah. Give or take a few.
Thank you.
Does the proprietor plan to live in the residential unit?
No, he does not. He does not plan to live there.
The manager?
No, it's for a manager.
I see.
Yes.
Yeah. What will be the hours of operation?
I believe it's 7 to 7. Typical neighborhood shop hours. I believe it's mentioned somewhere in the staff report, though.
Okay.
What products would be sold other than coffee?
Well, coffee and tea. It's primarily beverages, primarily.
Okay.
I don't think there's going to be much of it's not going to be a restaurant. They have to go through a health department for any hot foods. So there may be coffee and donuts, but there won't be much of a cooking operation. It's really for beverage. It's really for...
And what is the capacity in terms of customers? It's billed for how many when it's at full capacity?
I've got to apologize for not having a quick answer for you. I'm just a civil engineer. I'm not sure.
Okay.
But we're regulated strictly by square footage, and we only have 4 parking spaces, so it's a small neighborhood coffee shop. It's not going to be a Starbucks type operation.
So the location is between 13th and 14th Street, just above Baseline?
Approximately, yes. Yeah.
So clients would be veterans at the Veterans Home. It's close to the adult ed.
There's
school
adult ed,
and
there's
some others.
the military museum, I believe, is just north of that site.
Baseline, yeah.
But it should help to kind of bring a little bit more activity to the area as well.
Okay.
There are a few uses within the area and lots of residents within walking distance as well.
Has the owner already given the cafe a name?
Not yet. But the use is going to be neighborhood use. We're off the beaten path there are no workers from the local offices that I don't think they're going to go there. It's really for we're too far from downtown.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
it would be for that immediate area.
Yeah.
Okay, well, hopefully he'll choose something positive.
I'm sure he will. Yeah.
Chantal, could you bring up the floor plan again, please?
Yes. There we go. So this is the coffee shop seating area.
What is the area here in the lower right-hand corner?
That is the prep area or kitchen area, so where drinks and maybe some minor food prep might happen. Oops, sorry. Yeah. So that's basically the counter.
What's in the corner space? Is that an office?
This is basically just a corridor leading from the kitchen outside so that they will be able to get to the trash enclosure. And this space right here is actually one garage space which is required for the residents.
Okay. I have no further questions.
And I
Anyone
did
else?
find the hours of operation are proposed right now for 7 a.m. to 11 p.m., Monday through Sunday.
All right. Any questions or comments from anyone?
I have a question. With the reduction
in the commercial space. Was there any reduction that also needed to be required for safety reasons as far as for occupancy of the commercial establishment as well with the reduction in size of the dwelling? Or will the occupancy number still stay the same?
Well, the occupancy number hadn't been determined at that time. Generally, that happens in the building plan phase. But I imagine that the number has dropped at least by a few.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
Any further questions, comments? Hearing none, I'll call for the question. Would someone like to make a motion?
I'd like to make a motion adopting resolution number 2018-001, adopting the categorical exemption and approving development permit type P 16-07 based on the findings of fact and subject to the recommended conditions of approval.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Those in favor say aye.
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 Those opposed say no. The motion carries. And thank you very much. That concludes the agenda. Public comments, items not on the agenda. Anyone wishing to speak on any matter before the commission? Hearing none, Planning Commission reports and announcements.
I have announcements.
Yep.
Youth Action Partnership will host an event in honor of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. to educate the community and youth on his philosophies and teachings while promoting an action-based response to continue his legacy and service. The event will take place at the San Bernardino Family YMCA from 10 a.m. until 11 p.m. And this is going to be this Saturday, January 13th from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. Also, Frances J. Grice recently passed away on December 31st. For those of you that don't know who she is, she's a local San Bernardino activist that's been around for some time now. The Precinct Reporter did an article about her recently. Diane Anderson wrote, "Nobody has put more into the local civil rights movement or given more years of activism and personal energy to the west side of San Bernardino than community activist Frances Grice." Mrs. Grice passed away December 31st. She was 85. She never saw the city of San Bernardino as a lost cause, and she frequently reminisced when it was full of hope and full of bloom. The celebration of her life will be held at 10 a.m. on Friday, January 19th at Loveland Church on 17977 Merrill Avenue in Fontana. The viewing will be the day before, Thursday, January 18th, from 1 p.m. to 5 p.m. at Harrison Ross right here in San Bernardino off of E Street. Because of Frances Grice, the San Bernardino Community College District has a local participation policy that provides for 50% of the construction-related jobs to go to local residents and 25% of the contracts to go to local businesses. So I feel that it's important to highlight some of the major milestones that our past residents have helped implement and help drive San Bernardino forward. So those are my announcements for the day, and Happy New Year to you all.
Thank you. Did you have something? I have a question for the Community Development Director concerning the Historic Preservation Commission. I came down in the rain last night to attend the meeting and couldn't find anyone. I was wondering why it was canceled.
The meeting was canceled due to lack of a quorum.
Oh.
Yes. Okay. Unfortunately, several of the commissioners, we try to have staff poll the commissions to make sure that we have a quorum. Apparently, we forgot to post the cancellation notice, but that was the reason why.
Okay. I noticed on the agenda there was mention of a presentation, a proposed presentation by the Historic Committee to the Planning Commission. Do you know about that, or can you tell us anything about it?
There has been some discussion on the part of the City Council as part of charter reform and trying to become more efficient organizationally. The Council held a retreat back in October or November, I can't remember the exact date. And there was, at that meeting, there was discussion about consolidation among some of the commissions. One of the actions that came out of that, it's not formalized yet. It is scheduled to go back to the council at an upcoming meeting where the council should take formal action. But the recommendation that came out of the strategic planning workshop was to consolidate the duties of the Historic Preservation Commission with the Planning Commission. So the city attorney's office, actually outside counsel, Kim Barlow, is helping the city attorney's office and various departments redraft ordinances, because there's a number of changes to the municipal code that would need to be made. So I believe that's what that item was referring to.
There was one other item that caught my attention that has to do with guidelines for identifying historic buildings. Has there been any work done in that area?
The only thing that the city has presently is a study that was done, it's referred to as the Donaldson Report. It was completed in 1991. The Donaldson Report was a windshield survey of the, presumably the entire city at that time. And it did identify a series of buildings that could be potentially designated historic. There hasn't been any comprehensive work that's been done, unfortunately, since 1991. And the only thing that's been codified in the municipal code, the Historic Preservation Commission, in the Donaldson Report, there are 3 levels of significance, I guess is the best way to describe it. And buildings which are deemed to be the most significant within the Donaldson Report, if those buildings are proposed for demolition, those demolition permits could not be approved by staff like most demolition permits are. They would have to go to the Historic Preservation Commission. The HPC then, under the municipal code, would make a recommendation to the Planning Commission prior to a demolition permit being issued. So those are the only guidelines, so I don't know what exactly the commission would have been talking about last night.
There was one other item that I wanted to bring up to the commission having to do with the Santa Fe Depot. Turns 100 years old, 100 years of age this year, in May, I believe, or maybe it's July 18th, I think. And as Vice Chair of the State History and Heritage Committee for the American Society of Civil Engineers, I'm proposing to nominate the depot as a National Historic Civil Engineering Landmark. And I would like to get some input from the Historic Preservation Commission on the history and of the depot and rail transportation in the valley, in the San Bernardino area. And so I plan to go to their next meeting, but I understand it's not until March.
I believe, and Oliver can correct me, I believe they're going to have a special meeting on January 22nd as a replacement for the meeting, which unfortunately had to be canceled last night. So that agenda will be posted in advance of that meeting. You're probably aware, Chair, that the Historical Society itself is a wealth of information. The commissioners, I believe some of them individually would probably have some information on the train depot. I did know that it was coming up on 100 years. I didn't know the exact anniversary. But the Historical Society would probably be a great resource for that type of information.
Mm-hmm. One more item on that, or one more point on that. May 10th, 2019 is the 150th anniversary of the driving of the Golden Spike. Everybody knows about that. And there's going to be lots of celebrations around the western United States. And in fact, my committee, the History and Heritage Committee, is putting on a symposium at the State Railroad Museum in May of 2019. We'll have a lot of speakers on historic rail topics, and hopefully some input on high-speed rail and what the plans are for this area. So I'll keep you posted on that as we develop our plans.
Great, thank you.
Mm-hmm. Anything else? I believe we're down to the director's report.
Yes, thank you, Chair. The only item that I have, actually, Melina is going to hand out a copy of the major projects list for January. I unfortunately haven't been able to yet email it to the commissioners, but you do have hard copies, and a copy is also available online. When the item comes forward to the City Council for formal action, I will let the Planning Commission know what the outcome of that is. The agenda, like I say, hasn't been formalized yet. The date hasn't been set for the council to take formal action on that yet. It's a rather comprehensive undertaking that Ms. Barlow and the city attorney staff are going through. So I imagine it will be sometime in potentially February or March, but I'll certainly keep the commission apprised of that.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
We have a motion to adjourn.
Second.
We have a second. Those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed say no. It carries.